in the bottom right-hand side position of the map, Lightshade. He is the blue Terran Maru. In the top left-hand side, we have in the red, he is CLEM. CLEM is actually going to be opening up with a gas first. So already starting with some propositions here, probably going a little bit more aggressive than his opponent. Or on the other side, just getting his barracks and a gas at 16 supply mark. So this is already going to create certain variations between the play styles of these two players. Maru has been very heavily going for that Marine, Tank, Viking, Raven composition that has proven to be quite lethal, especially in the mid to late game stages. And CLEM, who also has been proposing interesting things, especially with drops very early on in the game to do a little bit of harassment, trying to hit some of the key timings here in the matchup. But right now we're going to see a first scout from Maru. So there's still a gate open here. He'll probably not drop that second depot in quite a bit. So Maru's going to be able to just go in and scout pretty extensively. He actually sees the timing of the factory, knows exactly what's going on. There's not much else to look for in this space. So let's see how Maru sets up for this. CLEM with no intentions of scouting whatsoever. I think in terms of this opener, having all the workers just mining minerals and gas is very important. I want to get definitely those building times right. He's actually going to be sending this Reaper, which could do either one of two things. Maybe look for some units there that he might pick off, but mostly just to look for information. Making sure that probably Maru may or may not be prepared for what he's about to deal with, but Maru anticipates this move with actually 2 Reapers there. So CLEM will have to step back for a little bit. Already 2 Reapers on the map for CLEM, and starting already the starport construction. We'll see what kind of unit he'll pick off from there. At this point, he is making a Hellion. So there might be some opportunities for multi-prong harass, maybe trying to poke on the natural base of Maru, and doing something else with maybe an air unit like a Liberator or a Raven, but we'll see at this point what add-on he decides to go with. He's actually going to be building a TED lab on his factory, so we might see some tank or even cyclone production. Might be what the French Terran is going for. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a swap here, but no, he's actually going for Liberator production and a Cyclone as well. So we're going to see a very mobile harassment squad. And here we have this little poke from Maru here, who's actually delaying this command center very successfully. But I think CLEM is going to be able to pick off at least a couple of units from this little pushover here. Maru that was trying to maybe micro his Reapers to safety, but he actually manages to escape only with 2. So nice pickoffs there from CLEM. At least it depowers kind of this harassment that Maru was attempting. Definitely this is not going to be an option anymore, since there's a really quick response with the Hellion. So nicely done there for the Red Terran. Maru, who's going to try to poke in again, but he wants to intercept this route, and he actually does it perfectly. He sees the medevac going to his base. It is actually loaded with a tank and 4 Marines, so this could do quite a bit of damage if it lands on the right spot. But I think Maru might be prepared for this. He's actually anticipating the move here. He's going to go to the periphery of his base to try to protect this, and the tank is landing, is sieged up, so Maru loses a big opportunity there to try to snipe that tank. But the tank is well in range of this mineral line, so this is going to be quite a bit annoying for the Korean Terran to deal with. Once again, trying to target fire with the lock-on spell from the Cyclone, but actually not managing to do much damage there. Oh, this tank's going to be so annoying. Maru nicely done there, anticipating the repairs on the Cyclone. He's going to be placing this tank, which will definitely help with those Marines in the back of the base. But this is a lot of pressure that Maru has to deal with, and he actually is going to be losing the bunker right now. So that is definitely not the most convenient scenario to be in. This Cyclone is also going to be quite annoying for Maru to be able to gain some ground on that tank. But he's going to move forward with everything that he has. If he actually manages to target fire that Cyclone, he is going to take the tank. So nice cleanup over here from Maru. Just losing a little bit of mining time, but still with a really solid defense at this point. See Raven production from both of these players, so we're going to go into a more tactical mode in terms of these engagements, and Maru has decided to actually go for a counterattack, so this is going to be interesting. Let's see if Clem anticipates something like this. He probably will. I guess with the units that Maru had, it is more than enough to kind of try at least to go for a poke there on the natural base, but I think Clem is anticipating this. He's actually going to place his tanks a little bit tucked more to the back of his base, and we actually going to have this drop, which will give a lot more options for Clem to go a little bit on the aggressive here, and also to hold this attack that Maru was trying to go for. He actually tried to unload that Cyclone there in the main base, but it was repelled really nicely. And here we go, we have this drop over at the main base of Maru, and this is going to delay quite a bit of mining time at this point. He's actually trying to fend this off with a Raven, but he has to be very careful with the unit. He has to drop the auto turret, then tuck back in. So there we go. Clem is forced to pick up his units, but he did delay quite a bit of mining time, and he actually dealt with the aggression that was knocking at his door. So now it's time for the red Terran to go on the offensive, and we'll see if this attack manages to do a little bit more damage. I think overall Clem has maintained a decent amount of pressure over Maru, and nice pick off there with the Cyclone with that auto turret. So really nice control here displayed from both of these players. Clem trying to go for a flank here, but actually loses all the Marines. I don't know if this was a mistake or maybe kind of a mishap there. Bit unfortunate, but he still has a lot of units here to play with. He has 3 tanks sieged up in a really nice location, but he does need to go in range. If he cuts off the forces of Maru from this base, this will be a difficult position for the blue Terran to deal with. And here we have auto turrets there for the defense, which are doing a nice job there, at least fending off some of the Marines, but this is about to shut down as well. There goes another second auto turret here, and Maru very smartly they're cutting off the reinforcement conga line, and already Clem also with a really nice footing there over the natural base. This looks very, very terrifying for the Korean Terran, who's trying to regain control of this location without much opportunity here. He does unload 2 auto turrets, but these absolutely just evaporated. And it seems that Maru is actually going to be able to clean this up here. But just the amount of damage that Clem has done so far is actually pretty important. He is securing his 3rd base location at this point. Really nicely done for the red Terran. Now we see the combat shields coming up. Obviously, these upgrades were a little bit delayed because well, Clem was prioritizing getting those reinforcements across the map, but I think what Maru did over there, cutting off the reinforcements, was actually pretty smart. It was the right thing to do, and then comes back with that flank. I'm sending some scouts out just to locate Maru's army. He knows it's coming. He actually sends down a scan, sees absolutely everything. So this is just a matter of setting up and preparing for this attack. But let's see if Maru can outsmart his opponent. He's actually going to go for a triple medevac drop over here in the back, which is really nice. It's going to give him a nice position there to siege up the tanks. And this is going to force Clem to abandon this location. He does have interference matrix, so he is going to be able to disable at least 1 tank over here, and that gives Clem enough opportunity to siege up himself. And this is going to be a as clean as you can get kind of clean up here. Now Clem setting up for yet another attack for himself. This looks a very strong attack from the Red Terran. In the meantime, Maru tucked into his third base. He knows he needs to hold on to this location, but I don't know if he has enough tanks to do it. And we have 5 tanks for CLEM against 2 for Maru. So this is going to be a complicated position for Maru to deal with. I mean, he does have the defender's advantage here, but he does not have the advantage of the siege position. And here we go, another engagement here ensues, but I mean, this is just so hard for Maru. He doesn't even have the numbers in terms of air units at this point to actually have vision over the army. So definitely the mobility here is in CLEM's favor. Once again, Maru trying to reposition his tanks. There's just so many Vikings, so they're sniping the medevac so quickly. Here he goes once again. Maru trying to march forward here. He's actually going to gain some ground on the tanks. Really nice snipes there from the blue Terran. He's actually going to be able to chase off this army, but the reinforcements for CLEM are coming, and this could cut off the route again for a counterattack. So really nice back and forth there for both of these players. Once again, CLEM chases, steps forward, but the tanks are already there. Caution is definitely required for this. Scans go down, just trying to gain a position here. Really nice there with that medevac forward for Maru. Getting at least a volley in there. Have a couple of Vikings here trying to hunt down some of the air units. Holding a very tense position at this point, and we are already at getting a +2 weapons for both of these players. They're almost done, but it's actually going to be Maru who's going to be able to have those upgrades out first. So really nice timing there for the Korean Terran. +1 armor is also +2 armor is also on the way as well. So this is going to be an interesting timing, but I think CLEM is waiting for his upgrades as well. So he's not going to engage just yet. He's actually going to go and look for that 4th base location, but there's no 4th taken yet. But there is the intention of doing so for Maru. He's probably going to be taking the top right-hand side position, as it is probably the safest at this point. I mean, CLEM just keeping the pressure on, and actually he has been mining off of his 4th base for quite some time right now. He has a planetary fortress already completed, so this is definitely just a nice economic advantage for our French Terran over here. We see there a change of flank, and actually Maru is about to take his 4th base himself, so he definitely needs to defend this position. But CLEM is probably going to cut into this location, maybe go far up north. We don't know there, but the retreat was kind of putting him in an odd position at this point, but he manages to actually siege up on time. So yeah, no big losses here, just a little bit of a scare that we had. Maru trying to use the high ground to his advantage. He actually does it pretty well here. These tanks are well off in range, but there's also quite a bit of tanks there for CLEM. +3 already on the way for the Korean Terran. I think CLEM is probably running a little bit low on the upgrade side. I think with a better timing, he would have been able to maybe take some of those engagements, but here creating a really nice concave, and now chases back Maru's army. And Maru has just been chilling at his base this entire time, probably being very eager to move on the other side of the map, but just CLEM keeping the pressure on and just using the units that he has to the best of their capacity. But look at this doom drop, guys, that is making its way to the other side of the map. And actually Maru scans there. I don't know if he's actually looking for where the other units might be. He knows that there were more medevacs with this, but he hasn't seen any movement around, and this is actually going to come in mostly uncontested at this point. We only have 4 Marines in the main base, and this doom drop is definitely has a potential to seal the deal here for Maru, who is forced to go back to his main base, but he's going to be losing quite a bit of production at this point, at least until he mounts this defense. Now losing some workers over there, but also holding ground there against against the blue army here, and now Maru steps forward with Liberators and Marines. Really nice concave there. Amazing splits just to shut down this attack from CLEM, but there's also danger in the third base location, taking out a lot of workers. This orbital command had no hope of ever surviving this. No hope at all. Both of these players scanning absolutely everywhere. Maru looking for a convenient position here. He has to use the high ground. He can't just step forward. He does need that concave potentially. He's actually going to stim forward from the flank, but I think there's too many tanks here for CLEM, and he actually has the better position here with the concave. He can actually gain some ground on the tanks, but he kind of hesitates a little bit and ends up losing an entire army. This is not good for CLEM. I mean, Maru is slightly up in army at this point, and he does need to do some damage because Maru is gaining ground on him. I mean, he does have a lot of bases, but I think Maru has had the better trades, at least in the last couple of engagements. So he definitely needs to hold on to this attack, build that army up. But is Maru gonna allow it though? Here we have the Vikings again gaining ground, giving that vision that he needs to siege up on this location. There's a lot of tanks here for Maru, so Maru definitely in a great spot at this point. It has kind of a grip on this third base, and I think this command center is probably in a lot of trouble at this point. Again, the tanks edging forward, trying to gain some ground on this, and they're going to be able to do it. Once again, going with the Marines to the back of the base, and now this base is going to be, it's going to have to be lifted at this point and probably retreat to another location, probably a safer spot. A really nice siege line here for Maru, putting a lot of pressure on CLEM. I think CLEM had the control for most of this game, but there were key exchanges there that probably didn't go in his favor, and now he is in this kind of a rough spot at this point, but he is going to go for a counterattack as well. So Maru can't just sleep easy with this. He's actually going to go ahead and attack the fourth base location as well, but he is going to have this amount of Marines, very serious amount of Marines attacking this base once again. This orbital being shut down, and this is also kind of a precarious location for CLEM to be in as well. He is caught off from his fourth base, and this planetary is about to go down. There are a couple of Liberators as well who definitely were helping with that SCV count, but we also have this drop in the main base of Maru. So both of these players trading as much as possible, but I think the compromise on the production is probably a bigger threat at this point for the blue player, and he's actually going to be taking more planetary fortresses. This is kind of a weird base trade scenario at this point. I don't know if CLEM is going to try to cross the map as well with the rest of his army, or if he's going to try to engage Maru in this spot, but I think it's a big risk here. There's a lot of siege tanks, the Liberators all already positioned, and Maru just trying to gain some ground on those tanks, almost cleaning up the entirety of them, but still one of them stands and now gets picked off. The Maru just running out of production at this point. This has to be a big blow for the blue Terran. He actually tries to do it with tanks, but that's not necessarily the best composition against pure Marine over here. We don't have enough ground army support, but he manages to clean up once again. Let's see if this army gets picked off, but right now Liquid CLEM has a lot of firepower on the other side of the map. Probably Maru rethinking a little bit of his life choices at this point. There's a lot of bases that he needs to kill off. And, I mean, there's not that much threat right now for CLEM, but definitely he can't not engage this planetary fortress for the amount of Marines that he has right now. This is a very iffy spot from both of these players. Actually, army supply very close for both of them. Both of them just sending scouts around looking for that extra army. But, I mean, the production for Liquid CLEM is not at all bad. He actually has all his army production facilities up and running at this point, and Maru just ran out of options. He does need to get a decent trade here if he wants to come out on top of this. He actually goes in for the tank, and this is a really nice snipe once again, using the amount of tanks that he has to push forward into CLEM's army. But he does need the tank support. He can't just go in and engage these Marines. And he starts edging into this third base location, and this is going to be a nice pickoff here for Maru, who actually managed to get rid of most of the facilities down at the bottom of the map, so this is kind of a more controllable location to engage in, but he's not using his tanks to his favor. He does need those if he wants to gain some ground here on CLEM's army, and CLEM stims forward. He actually finds some of the tanks on siege, so this is a great opportunity. He manages to snipe at least 3 of them, so this is a nice trade here, but Maru also with the reinforcements, and GG. Maru takes this first game. Just an insane game 1. Very back and forth. Definitely CLEM with a lot of options there to gain the advantage, but at the end he kind of fell short, especially on the aggression department there. Okay guys, so now we're going to be hopping into game number 2. This is from the ASUS ROG Online 2020 Group C, Maru versus CLEM, and this one is going to be in a Death Aura. And here we go, guys. Spawning in the top left-hand side of the map and leading this series 1-0. He is Maru. And in the bottom right, we have, in the red, Liquid CLEM. CLEM probably, at this point, rethinking a little bit of the options that he has for this game. I know that he's probably thinking of those very clear mistakes that he made on the first game. I think at some point, maybe he had kind of a chokehold on Maru, especially when he got the entirety of the production, but then the defense was a little bit wonky there, and outside of his third base and fourth base locations. So it wasn't a bad start for CLEM, which is all the more a good reason to probably go for a very similar opener at this point, but he does need to rethink, especially what's happening in the late game. And this is probably going to be a very similar opening for both of these players, and Maru is going to be actually going for his second gas pretty early there in the game, so Maru probably anticipating some early aggression as he did in the first game. So already preparing himself for that, he's going to be able to have a factory quite earlier for defense. That's definitely going to be helping. Reaper production already on the way, and we are going to have an SCV scout this time for CLEM. At least for now, he does not see any intention of taking the natural base, at least not on location. Might be taken on the high ground, but still needs a little bit more of information to proceed, at least with his response. But he's actually going to be taking his command center now. Maru, who's going to be continuing with the Reaper production. First Reaper is already crossing the map. So there's definitely potential to hunt down some units. There is one Reaper here from CLEM as well to defend, and we're gonna see a reactor immediately after. So definitely Maru going for a strong opener at this point, playing it very safe. He's possibly gonna be leaving both of his Reapers in his space, anticipating that move that Liquid CLEM did in game 1. Now taking that reactor, and the factory is already in production. We're gonna see it once again. Hellions, which are pretty useful against Reaper opener, especially if the Reaper gets a little bit too cocky, tries to make it into the main base. But this time it's actually Maru who's gonna probably try to go for some earlier aggression there, but there is gonna be a Hellion there to defend. So now we see the Reapers jump in. Let's see what Maru is able to do with these. And he's actually going to be shutting down the production of the starport, which is annoying for CLEM. He has to pull in an extra worker here to help. But not much else has been lost at this point. Just a cheeky move from Maru there. Widowmine already outside of the natural base, possibly anticipating some moves there from CLEM. I mean, if CLEM gets hit by this Widowmine, that could be quite devastating, especially for the first units, which are really important there. CLEM trying to move out, but they are intercepted by a Reaper, so at least Maru had the information that this was coming. But still mounting up a really nice defense. We do have a Raven already on the way. We have Cyclone as well in production. So here comes the first drop from CLEM. It's going to be a 4-Marine drop. This is not a very committal drop. It's more going to be kind of a multi-prong assault where he's going to try to poke in with these Hellions and this Reaper and maybe go to the main base for an attack. There is kind of an anticipation here going on. There is a scouting SCV trying to pinpoint that. I would love to see that Cyclone dump. He's actually going to be building his 3rd command center over here, very early 3rd for this Terran. But Maru in a really nice position still actually manages to drop that auto turret. So kind of loses the production SCV, but at this point not losing much else. Ooh, he's actually losing the second one, so that's probably not that great. And this Runby is doing quite a bit of damage there to mineral line, losing a lot of workers. 8 SCVs have gone down for Maru. This is definitely not the right place to be, but really nice connection there with the Widowmine doing what it was supposed to do. But I mean, still, a lot of losses there sustained for Maru. 9 workers goes down in the end. CLEM going for the swap there. He's going to be placing that starport and the reactor, starting Viking production, which definitely gave him an edge in that first game. More Ravens on the way for Maru. We're going to see the 3rd command center completing real soon. And once again, CLEM is going to try to move forward. See if he can get something done with these units. But there's a really nice defense already mounted up for Maru. There's a tank there. There's a Widowmine, so these units kind of maybe more bait than anything. Especially trying to maybe catch a move out from Maru at this point. Not much else. In the meantime, Maru is going to be sending a Marine to that 3rd base location. He's probably anticipating the expansion from CLEM. Drop on the way for the red Terran. We're going to see some more harassment on the main base, but there are a couple of units already there anticipating this. A lot of pokes here and there. A lot of pinging probably in the map. This is probably what CLEM is trying to do as well, kind of keep Maru on his toes. And we are going to see quite a bit of reinforcements here. So we have a couple of tanks. We have more Vikings coming in. We also have a Raven. CLEM sees the units there defending, catches a couple of scouts. Once again, does the scan. He knows exactly where the setup is. So he can probably start edging forward over here, but he can't move in just yet. There's a lot of siege tanks moving around the third base. Maru just staying very focused there, trying to reposition as CLEM moves forward. He's actually going to get the high ground here. Whoever gets the siege position will probably win this engagement. And CLEM is already sieging up his first tank, but he actually kind of abandons it a little bit. It is tailing behind his army and actually loses that. Here comes the drop as well. That was the right time probably to make this drop happen over here. And CLEM, I guess, satisfied with the damage that he did over there. He actually manages to snipe a tank as well in the main engagement. So once again, this drop comes in, but interference matrix just so annoying, not allowing him to drop all of the units. Once again, Maru just sieging. Couple of seconds ahead of his opponent. More reinforcements coming in from CLEM. But just CLEM once again trying to get a hold on Maru's army over here. He's trying to edge forward as well with his tanks. But I mean, Maru just maintaining such a good control of the high ground. Once again, Maru repositioning, being extremely patient. He knows that CLEM wants to continue moving forward, and now he has a little bit of vision on the high ground there. He's actually going to have the opportunity to drop a few Marines here. So this is definitely going to be annoying for Maru to deal with. He does need a few forces over here to probably manage this. But I think CLEM is being probably too respectful over here with those Marines. Now he sims forward, trying to get that command center and forcing a reaction for Maru as well. But Maru just keeping the position here, trying to not move forward too much. He actually does go in for the liberation zone over here. He's going to be able to clean up these liberators, and just CLEM retreating entirely with his army. He knows he doesn't have a hold on this base anymore. He wants to get that fourth base up. This drop might be able to do a little bit more damage. The production is entirely exposed at this point. There's not that many production facilities for Maru. Maru definitely just with a basic 3-1-1 right now layout for production. And CLEM trying to take advantage of that. He does have more production facilities, but I don't know. It kind of seems that Maru, despite the fact that he has been under a lot of pressure, he has been able to withstand that pressure pretty effectively. And here with those Vikings trying to intercept this drop, it actually manages to go in with all 16 Marines. So this could do quite a bit of damage there. Here comes the response as well from Maru, drops Marines himself. He does have the support of the Vikings, so there's no more medevacs here for this army. There's also a big push coming in for CLEM, and he's actually going to be dropping these Vikings over here. He sees the tanks unsupported, but Maru once again cleaning up this really nicely, repositioning his tanks, just claiming this siege position once again. So not losing that much, still maintaining a decent army supply at this point. And armies have been traded pretty evenly, so there's not a big edge for any of these players. But we'll see. I mean, Maru hasn't been able to counterattack either. And CLEM just securing that fourth base, easy peasy. Maru's going to be able to secure his base as well. So both of these players, once again, kind of resetting this game. +2/+2 already on the way for both of them. So this time, at least, we do have the upgrades kind of like not that far away from each other. I think Maru definitely having an advantage during game number 1. But this time, CLEM being more diligent with his upgrades. Both of these players playing it extremely safe. He's actually CLEM just distributing a few Marines here and there, maybe to spot some drops coming in. Maru sees the fourth base location now. He scans also for a fifth, but it's not quite there yet. And I mean, this amount of Marines could do quite a bit of damage there. He does send a few forward just to catch any scouts that he might be finding. Once again, changing flanks here with these medevacs. I don't know if he's actually going to be trying to do something, maybe trying to locate the army and then going for a drop. That might be interesting. There are no turrets over here in the main base. There's no need for that. These players, very skilled, just reaction times are extremely efficient, so there's no need to put in any extra minerals over there. But he is going to be finding a scout there, and this is going to force CLEM to shift gears here and try to hunt for these army units. And he's actually going to do it now. Maru stimming forward. He actually catches one of the Vikings, like trailing off a little bit behind that army. And the main army of CLEM is actually shifting gears over here as well. He was trying to probably destroy these rocks, but there is a sensor tower there for detection. So maybe a Doom Drop might be a better option at this point, but Maru knows the location of this army, so he knows exactly what is going on here. CLEM is trying to look for multiple flanks here to attack the main base, and actually Maru, with a really good, really nicely timed scan there, manages to see absolutely everything. So at least for now, the element of surprise is absolutely gone. Maru once again holding on to his bases. CLEM taking this opportunity to take just more command centers outside of his 4th base. An obscene amount of command centers, if you ask me. But I mean, the problem is going to be here if he's actually going to be able to shut down Maru enough as to make all those bases worth it. Once again, trying to engage in this position, but Maru already set up with a nice siege line over there. But I mean, there's no way he can pursue the army of CLEM. CLEM has also a really nice siege position himself. Once again, CLEM trying to edge forward with a really nice clutch over here on the 4th base. But will he be able to move forward with this? And we have a really nice counter here for Maru, who actually catches one of these command centers left quite in the open, and he's actually going to be managing to snipe that as well. There is quite a bit of defense over here, but I mean, there's just a few SCVs, so going in for a little bit of a kill. Really nice anti-armor missile there over the Vikings, and actually Maru's not managing to snipe quite a few of them. Maru once again edging forward with the Vikings, not allowing CLEM to move on. +3/+3 already on the way for the blue Terran, and I mean, has CLEM fallen behind with upgrades once again? It might be, because I haven't seen 3/3 from him. Yeah, CLEM once again falling behind with that 3/3. Scans go down, and Maru's trying to hunt down as many air units as possible. He's actually going to be able to do it. He does have a lot of Vikings there, and he's sniping a lot of CLEM's own air units. CLEM just trying to go for a flank, but I mean, the sensor towers are there once again. The scan goes down, but Maru repositions just at the right time. Once again, CLEM trying to edge forward outside of the 4th base. There's a lot going on right now. CLEM trying to maybe force an overextension from Maru, but Maru is just sealed tight, trying to secure his bases and not lose anything to this, but he knows he needs to break free at some point in the game, because I mean, CLEM is just taking so many bases at this point. More command centers are coming in for the Red Terran, and Maru this time tries to move forward and move across the map over here. This apparently is a well-defended position, so there's not much danger at this point, and CLEM tries once again to move forward, but Maru tries also an interception and forces CLEM once again to stop there and try to look for a nice siege position. But I mean, this is trying to be very high pressure, even for the Red Terran himself, as he actually manages to fend him off. So CLEM kind of going back to his base. He knows there's danger looming outside of his own bases, so he does need to intercept this army. He needs the engagement, and he needs to win that if he wants to gain an actual edge over Maru. So Maru already trying to force CLEM out of his base. He does snipe one tank, but he is forced to retreat as the tank line is already sieged up. But I mean, the trades here, Maru always kind of managing to get a few more volleys than CLEM in, so Definitely not the greatest position for the Red Terran at this point, even trying to drop over there, but actually managing to lose absolutely everything. But I mean, the bases keep coming, the bases keep rolling in, and CLEM seems to have been able to secure half of the map already. So I mean, this is quite good for him at this point. But I mean, at the moment that Maru maybe thinks about switching gears over here and looking for a different flank, there might be quite a bit of trouble for him. Now, really nice anti-armor missile once again, trying to fight these liberators who are making the task real hard over here, sniping both of them now. So this is good for Maru still, but I mean, he hasn't been able to break the tank line for CLEM, and CLEM secures yet another base. Definitely not an ideal position to be in at this point. Once again, CLEM edging forward. There is a tank there. Manages to snipe a couple of them, and Maru trying to switch gears once again with this army. He might be able to find a very exposed planetary over here. And CLEM once again just trying to find a nice position here for engagement. These liberators definitely helping over here to break the tank line, and this might be the right time for CLEM to just move forward and attack this base with everything he's got. He's actually going to do exactly that. He's going to position all the liberators over there. We do have a counterattack here from Maru, just going ahead and sieging up against this planetary fortress. But I mean, the clutch that CLEM has over him is absolutely undeniable. He moves forward with more tanks, puts this planetary fortress under siege, but he did move one tank maybe a little bit too forward, but still the engagement is really good over here for CLEM, and Maru actually managing to clean up one of the bases here. So CLEM definitely in a little bit of trouble. He does have potential to secure this base. I mean, there's a lot of siege tanks over there, but look at the interference matrices just disabling every single tank set up for defense over here, and CLEM losing quite a bit as well. He's still sieging up this base, but just not quite getting the kill at this point. Maru is already knocking at his doorstep, and there's not much defense that he can muster at this point. 132 supply versus 86 is just not quite enough, and maybe once again Maru is going to be able to break down CLEM's defense. CLEM just coming back with everything he's got, but I mean, the production is already compromised. Just the auto turrets going down, managing to snipe a lot of the units as they come out, and Maru takes game number 2. Once again, a really nice display there from Maru, just commanding the game. But above all, sustaining the pressure, which I think has been definitely one of the staples of CLEM's gameplay. But just Maru not receding to it. Okay, guys, so this is it. We're gonna be going into this next game, game number 3, between Maru and CLEM. Maru already securing 2 wins under his belt. And here we are, guys. This is the map, Pillars of Gold, and we have spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map. He is the blue Terran, Maru. And spawning in the top right, we have the red Terran, he is CLEM. I think overall, in terms of the early game play, I think CLEM has definitely been the most aggressive, the most dynamic player. But just the fact that Maru has been able to withstand the pressure time and time again, and then just bursting out with this huge army and just going for the key snipes, getting those bases, and just not allowing CLEM to continue with the aggression, has definitely worked out in the Blue Terran's favor. And I mean, the problem with the first game is that he actually compromised his production. But then in the second game, his production was intact. So it was an even stronger breakout once he decided to move across the map and attack CLEM. And I think, despite the fact that CLEM has been trying time and time again to force an overextension, it has been Maru who's actually been forcing CLEM to break a lot of the containments that he's been able to set up, and then try to pursue Maru's army to anticipate any damage. And I think this is probably what CLEM has not been able to keep up with. Nice block there from the scout for CLEM. Not trying to give out that much information, but I think Maru was able to see most of what was going on there in CLEM's space, actually spotting that factory. So really nicely done there from the Blue Terran. Not much else to do but to go back to his base and do some stuff of his own. He's actually getting that factory already up, and we do have a very extensive scout over here from Maru, probably anticipating some proxy barracks. But at this point, CLEM is just staying in his space, building his own stuff, not minding his own business as well, and actually going also for a scout outside of his third base location. So probably both of these players anticipating the other to just go for a shorter game this time, but it's not going to be the case. We're probably going to be seeing very similar openers for both of them, and we are having already some Hellion production out for CLEM, definitely trying to play a safer game at this point, anticipating moves from Maru, who's actually going to be trying to go for a more aggressive approach this time. He is going to be the one who's going to be building the first Cyclone there, possibly anticipating some air unit harass as well. And here we go, Maru with the double Reaper Scout. He's actually going to find this ledge pretty open. He's going to be able to see everything that's going on in the main base. So he does spot there the factory that's going to have a tech lab out. CLEM actually able to clean this up. Kind of gets a friendly fire SCV there, but nothing too big. Not too big of a loss. So we're going to see tank production from CLEM. CLEM preparing for yet another drop. These drops that have been able to do quite a bit of damage, but the follow-up has probably been the most problematic for the Red Terran. Both of these players with very similar production tabs. Maru opting to go for a Viking. So let's see if this drop, this is a 4 Marine, 1 tank drop, along with a couple of Hellions here, a couple of Reapers as well. So once again, trying to go for a multi-prong assault on both the main and the natural base, and we'll see if he's actually going to be able to do the damage that he wants to do with this. So there we go. He's actually going to try to move forward there. He sees that the tank is already sieged up. There is a Viking here, and the Viking starts going at it against the medevac. And CLEM is actually going to be able to siege up over here and gain a nice footing on the enemy base. But Maru once again anticipates this really nicely. Drops a tank of his own there, and actually manages to snipe quite a few units. The tank is very exposed at this point, and he is going to be losing this unit, which is key right now to hold this position. But Maru, once again, with a very, very nice cleanup. CLEM continues to send some reinforcements across the map, possibly anticipating the move of yet another air unit that could maybe favor this assault. But there is a tank. The tank is fully repaired. So the defense at least for now, is pretty solid. We are going to be seeing a follow-up with a Banshee for CLEM. But Maru just so smart. He already has this Viking over here, but he actually repositions that probably not at the greatest time. So there's a good opportunity for CLEM here. He goes for some SEV kills right now, already on the 3s. Takes the 4th worker out. So nicely done there by CLEM, taking a couple of workers, but I mean the trades are still not in his favor. There's already a defense really well mounted against this Banshee. Maru once again playing a very, very patient game. Third command center almost done for CLEM. So he is going to be taking his 3rd command center very close to Maru's as well. Also, these players pacing each other. We did have this spotter cyclone that spots the move out from Maru, but I don't know if that will be enough of a deterrent. He is probably looking for the securing of that 3rd base. I don't think this is necessarily a move out, but I mean he does need those units to fend off a little bit of the scouts that CLEM usually leaves behind, and he's actually going to come in with more units. So we are going to see kind of a second wave of attacks from CLEM, but the air units are there a little bit early to the party. CLEM looking to secure this choke point between the 3rd base location and the natural. But the auto turrets go down and actually managing to do quite a bit of damage there, even catching this siege line on the low ground. And he's actually going to be able to clean up most of this stuff. The auto turret also doing quite a bit of damage. Auto turrets are just so good. Such good non-unit. Oh, but really nice snipe there from Maru, taking out the Raven. So once again, CLEM losing a little bit of steam here. I mean, he's not necessarily out. He has been able to secure his 3rd base, already mining from it. I mean, keeping the pressure on from Maru, delaying his bases. But again, is he gonna be able to maintain this level of pressure? Once again, Maru repositions to that ramp, just not allowing any opportunity to edge forward, and he's going to actually have stim quite a bit earlier than CLEM. So definitely his defense a lot stronger just because of this seemingly mild upgrade advantage here, and Maru just landing his units right at the adequate time, and he intercepts a lot of the forces from CLEM. CLEM just running out of a lot of units, not trading necessarily that well in this game. Maru probably cracking the code here, deciding to go more on the aggression early on. Definitely working to his favor, relieving a little of the pressure that he's been kind of sustaining throughout the series. Vikings on the way for CLEM, and actually almost managing to snipe that medevac, and actually manages to do it. So nice pick off there, less support for the ground units. So now he tries to go for the opportunity. He does siege up. He sieged up on the low ground, so not the best sieging position. Maru with a definite army advantage, but still being quite respectful of his opponent here. Maru just stimming forward. Some of the Marines he finds. Some of the forces over here quite a bit exposed. He does not siege up, and this probably could have been a mistake here. He leaves some of the tanks unsieged, but there's quite a bit of stuff also coming in for CLEM. Maru going in for the scout, assessing what's the situation here. He'll probably have to hold this and be patient for a little bit longer if he wants to break out from here. He tries to get some of that vision with the medevac. Kind of looked a little bit funky with that move in, and intercepts quite a few workers over here. He does pull some SCVs to help to buffer some of the damage here, but the stutter stepping here for Maru is absolutely insane. He's gonna be able to clean up absolutely everything, and GG is called, and Maru takes this third game without dropping a single map.